Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Gabi in case you don't know who I am, and I'm a professional model. So today I would like to spend some time talking about modeling. Kind of the aspects of it, what it's like the not so glamorous aspects of it, do's and don'ts, things like that. And of course, if you have any questions, please leave your questions in the comment and I'll be sure to get back to you. So, I'd like to start off kind of talking about what modeling I'm talking about. So there's Instagram modeling, obviously, where people post pictures on Instagram. It is a legitimate form of modeling. You know, brands can send product to these models and they take their pictures in them and they put them on Instagram, and they get paid for these posts. Another type of modeling is where photographers hire models for their portfolio, and you can make a lot of money doing that as well. You can charge anywhere from $100 to $200 an hour, and photographers will hire these models to shoot for their portfolio so they can grow as photographers. So the type of modeling that I'm going to be talking about, though, are the in-person shoots you do for advertising campaigns. So typically this is a type of modeling where companies hire you for an in-person shoot to come to their studios, shoot in their product, and the shots end up being for campaigns, for advertising on social media, things like that. But they have shot it. They've hired the team to shoot it. You don't shoot it from home like Instagram modeling is. So this is the kind of modeling that I do. I've worked with mostly cosmetic companies. I've done MAC Cosmetics, Bare Minerals, Anastasia Beverly Hills. Not necessarily campaigns, but I've shot with them in person and they've used the photos for advertising for their products. So this is the kind of modeling that I want to discuss today. So before social media was around, the only way to do this kind of modeling would be you had to approach an agency or an agent because they were the ones who had all the connections with the clients, or you had to be at the right place in the right time and get discovered by these agents. So it made it a lot more difficult, but the market wasn't nearly as saturated as it is today, and because of that, standards of modeling have changed as well. So somebody who was 5'7" might not have been considered as much in the 90s, but is considered now because, if they have a great look, cosmetic campaigns don't really care how tall you are because they're mostly using you for your face, and people make a lot more exceptions these days. Your follower account can also encourage companies to hire you because they want you to post their pictures on your Instagram for the free advertising. But social media has also saturated the market because anybody these days can claim that they are a model online, but it has worked. There's pros and cons to social media, okay? So some of the pros that are social media coming into the modeling industry is that, well, anybody can say that they're a model, and this might work, this might not work. It really depends on what your look is and if you market yourself correctly, I guess I should say as well. So I think everybody has the potential to do lifestyle and like real people modeling, and there's most of that in the industry right now. It's really big right now where they want real families, real looking people. Most companies are like very lifestyle. So I'm talking about credit card companies, insurance companies, food companies, things like that. Even Walmart is considered more lifestyle. And so there's a lot more of those companies around than there are high fashion and cosmetics, obviously. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if you're not a high fashion model, because you could possibly do lifestyle modeling, which also pays really well. Fashion doesn't pay that well, so I would definitely consider doing lifestyle modeling. Another great thing about social media is that now it's much more easier to get discovered by agencies and agents. So you might not have had the opportunity to be seen by those agents or discovered on the street because, the coincidence of that happening is very unlikely. But because of social media, with hashtags and things like that, we can use those to our advantage and have agencies find us. Now, another great thing about social media as well is we might not even need agencies anymore because companies can find us directly on social media now and can hire us directly. So there are pros and cons to that as well. A lot of times when companies look for girls on social media and try to book you directly, you have to be smart about it, because a lot of times the reason that they do that is that they want to offer you a lesser rate for more usage. So what rates and usage are is, they offer you a day rate, but the day rate also has to factor in what they're going to use the photos for. So, and not only that, but for how long they're going to use the photos for. So there's standard usage is about 12 months. So that means they can use the photos for 12 months. And why it's important to include that in your contract is that if they want to use it for longer than whatever the agreed usage is, they can buy you into another contract, which is great. It's more money for you. You don't even have to do another shoot. You just negotiate another contract. So that's why it's really important to remember usage when you give somebody a rate and for how long they're going to use the photos for. Another thing about usage is what the usage is. It's different if they're using the photos just for web and social media, but if they're using it for print advertisements and in-store advertisements and billboards, of course that means that you need more money. So a lot of times what can happen is, they'll offer you a standard contract, which is usually social media and web if it's not a campaign. They'll do it for 12 months, but they end up getting the photos back and they really like it, so they can offer you more usage. They can buy you for more usage for print, in store, things like that. And of course, that means you get more money. So it's really important that you guys fight for usage, fight for proper rates, and things like that. And of course, social media has offered us, the opportunity to meet with these companies and do things like that. But it's still important to consider that agencies might be better at negotiating this first than we are. So that's why I think agencies are still very useful to this day. And that's why I still work with agencies and I freelance. I do both, because they are better at negotiating these rates for us. They're better at negotiating the usage, and they're better at negotiating contracts for you guys. Okay, but because of that, agencies do take a percentage. They typically take 20%. That is standard. If an agency ever wants to take more than 20%, run, okay? They should not be taking more than 20%. Another thing that they will do is that they'll charge the client 20% for using you. So that might seem like a lot if you really think about it. So say if a job is $1,000, you will get $800, the agency will get $200, but the agency will also charge the client an additional $200, an additional 20% for using you. So they'll actually get $400 where you get $800. So if you calculate it that way, they're actually getting a third of the money available per shoot. So that's another reason why you might want to consider freelancing. But at the same time, you might think about it that if a company reaches out to you, you might not be able to negotiate your way into a $1,000 contract with a company because the client might not want to pay a freelance model $1,000, whereas they'll pay an agency model $1,000. So it kind of balances out. It's really up to you. There are models, of course, that are not represented, that have people reaching out to them all the time, and they can negotiate their way into better contracts. You should also consider your followers count, especially if you are planning on posting the photos from the shoot into your social media, because your posts are of value at that point once you do reach like influencer status. So that's something you should factor in on top of usage and on top of your time, of course. And you should negotiate usually day rates, because if you are working multiple days, usage should be included into your day rate. So you want to start modeling. I feel like there are two ways of approaching it. The first way is that you don't honestly need to start with anything. You could just approach agencies in person. So you can find their agency's contact info on Google, online, on their website, where they have their open call times. And an open call is when an agency posts a certain time or certain day of the week, etc., where you can come in and just be seen by them, talk to them, be seen by them, things like that. And open calls are a really great way to meet the agents. I personally would always encourage doing an open call over submitting online, because an agency really gets to see you in person, gets to see what you're like, and they really get to see your personality, which I think makes a really big difference when they meet you and increases your chances of getting signed by them. So if you want to do it that way, if the agency sees potential in you right away, they'll take your digitals, which are just candid shots of you in a tight-fitting clothing so they can see your body, and they can sign you, and they will work on your portfolio with you. They'll send you to photographers that can test shoot with you and create your portfolio, or they'll recommend photographers that you can pay at a reduced rate so that you can start building up your book for their clientele, to present to their clientele. Another way that I have approached, and this is the way I personally approached, is that when I went to agencies, I got rejected because they didn't see that I was marketable, and they didn't see if I was photogenic or things like that. So what you can do is that you can test and hire photographers on your own, get those shots that you need, and bring the shots to an agency and show them. And that's kind of like a proof of concept, like this is what I can do. And a lot of times agencies really like that as well. I feel like this increases your chances of getting signed when they see a proof of concept that you can do this. Now, I would really recommend hiring a photographer for your first shoot. Don't go the route that I did. I shot with anybody and everybody who offered, and I got some really bad photos from it, like really, really bad, and I just poorly lit, poorly edited. it just wasn't high quality. And what happens is when they post these photos online, because of social media, they're gonna be online forever. So you don't want to do that. You want to high quality photos right from the get-go. I would really hire a photographer right from the beginning, and then see once you get those photos back, when other photographers see them, they might reach out and ask to test with you if they like your look and if they like your potential, if they like your posing and things like that. So prepare for your first shoot. I would seriously hire a photographer for your first shoot. Practice posing in the mirror beforehand. Find a photographer who's also good working with models. There's a lot of photographers out there that are great with helping pose a model. Find somebody like that that'll make you look your best, that'll help you at your best so that you can get some really great images. I think it's really important to start with your 5 to 10 strongest images in a portfolio. Once you have the 5 to 10 that are really strong, really sturdy, really great, you can approach an agency with those photos if you were rejected the first time around, and kind of show them. I've had this happen before where an agency who rejected me accepted me after I showed them my book. And another thing that you can do as a freelancer, if you decide to go the freelancing route, you can find work on your own. There's a lot of apps these days that are really great for that. All you have to do is do a quick Google research, modeling jobs. There's a lot of websites. There's actually a lot of casting groups on Facebook that you can find. Instagram is a great source, so be sure to keep up on your social media so people can contact you. I also really personally recommended always having a website. I know a lot of models don't, but I know that the successful models, like my friends who are constantly getting booked for these big jobs, have websites. So I would like to think that it's not a coincidence that happens. So that's why I highly recommend that you guys make a website. It's not that expensive. It's honestly a cost of doing business. It's about $100 a year, with a domain. I personally use Wix, but Squarespace is great. So I would highly recommend making a quick website to showcase your book, to have kind of all your information on there, so that when you reach out to people to test, you can send them something that's not an Instagram link. You can send them like an actual website, and it looks very professional. Having a website also helps you get clients through the door. It helps them see, again, that you are a professional. What's so important in this industry is that you set yourself apart, that you can't just say that you are a professional model. You have to show it. You have to embody it. So having a website helps you embody it. Having a great looking Instagram, having a clean looking Instagram embodies it. Having a clean looking Facebook embodies it. Having a solid, strong portfolio embodies it. Take yourself seriously. It's not a hobby, it's a job. There's a lot of girls who do this to make it's their livelihood. So don't go into this industry thinking it might be a hobby, and just doing it for fun, and then because what happens is it brings us down as a whole in the industry when people don't take it seriously. So I would highly recommend having a website, having a strong Instagram, a strong Facebook, and I don't mean necessarily follower accounts. I just meant making it look clean, Limit the selfies, like the silly selfies with your tongue sticking out. Limit personal posts. If you're a very opinionated person, unfortunately, you should limit those, because clients do often check on social media of their models. And if they see you posts of specifically political or religious or things that happen to be very controversial topics, you might just have to want to be careful with that, because they will see those posts, and if they don't like it, they won't hire you. So I think the best thing to do is just to limit them. You can be a positive, heavy person. You can make personal posts, but just make sure that they're not controversial topics, that people won't want to fight you on them, so that clients can see your portfolio and can see you for you and hire you for your pictures and not for something that you said. I would also recommend getting business cards. You should get comp cards as well to leave with your clients when you go to castings or things like that, or you go to test shoots. And a comp card is about a 4x6, maybe even a 5x7, and it's got a couple of your photos on each side. It's got your name, your contact information, and your statistics. So the way to measure your statistics is measuring around your bust, measuring out around your waist at the smallest part of your waist, and measuring around your hips at the largest part of your hips. So you would have those statistics and your height and your shoe size on this comp card, and you leave them with clients. But I like to get business cards as well, because when you're at networking events, a comp card is big, okay? So I like to give them something that they can fit in their wallet at these events. So a really great way to get it is business cards. You can get them for really cheap at Vistaprint, but I also like Moo because even though it is a little bit more expensive, the cards look super professional and they're really high quality. And you can go to these networking events and leave them with clients, potential clients, and it's something they can fit in their wallets. You know, a lot of times they'll like fold up your comp card and try to put it in, and it's like thick and it won't fit, or they'll just go right in the garbage. And you don't want to do that because comp cards end up being expensive. So there are costs of business. Like I mentioned earlier, you do have to, pay some photographers to work with that, for them to work with you. It's not always, but like I said, to get the best start, that's what I would do. Another cost of business you may have is that some agencies might have fees, and these are typical website fees. My Chicago agent has them, my New York agent has them. I think I pay $150 a year for my website through my Chicago agent, and I think my New York agent charges me $375. There are some that don't charge, but there are some that do. They'll make comp cards for you and they might charge you for that as well. There are two options to that. Sometimes they'll charge you right away, and other times they'll take it from your first booking. So when you book a job with them, they'll take that money out of your first check, which is actually a really good sign. That means that they do have faith that they'll find you work and that they will book you out and that they're investing that part in you and then just take the money out later. And I've had agencies do that as well, and it's really great. So finding the right type of modeling for you. So like I said in the very beginning of the video, I think everybody should give lifestyle a chance because lifestyle modeling is very easy money. It's really marketable towards anybody, and when you see these advertisements, they use all sorts of people, so it's really great opportunity. Of course, there are other types of modeling that you can do. I'm personally a cosmetics model. I am a little bit shorter. I'm 5'8", which is considered shorter in the modeling world, and I do a lot of makeup work so if you have a strong facial structure, if you have interesting eyes, if you have freckles, if you have cool hair, things like that, you might want to consider cosmetics too. Or there's even a thing called hair modeling, and I do some of that as well. And there's a lot of jobs for hair modeling year round, so that's honestly a great market. So yeah, if you have hair that you're willing to change, I would consider that too. But if you do change your hair, you have to keep up to date with your portfolio, and your new look might be detrimental to future work. So you have to be really considerate of how much you want to get taken off, what color you want to do, things like that, that won't prevent you from getting future work, It might seem like a big check now, but it might prevent you from getting a bigger check in the future. So you should really be careful about that. I personally do only pastels, so I'm willing to get my hair colored, but I'll do pastels because my hair is, it'll wash out. It's so porous, it'll wash out. So I do silvers, pinks, purples, and blues, but only in pastels. I stay away from yellows, oranges, and greens because that will stick to my hair and it won't wash out, so I don't do those, and I've learned that the hard way. So I think hair modeling is a really great market to hit as well. Then of course there is high fashion modeling. These are like the models you see for Gucci and Prada and things like that. And once you make it big as a model, honestly most of the models who make it big worldwide are fashion models, but there's so few of them compared to how many there are in the field that actually make it big, and you don't make major money until you make it big. So it is a hard field to kind of navigate. You have to be like 5'10", 5'11". It is a very competitive field. You have to be really thin, of course, unless you're going for the plus size market. So it is still, even though we have changed, as a market throughout the years, there are still some restrictions on it, unfortunately. That's typical New York, London, Paris, Milan restrictions. So you can, if you are taller, if you've got a leaner figure, if you've got a very interesting face, then, maybe high fashion modeling is for you and you can give it a shot. And these are like the girls that do the high fashion magazines. These are the girls that do a lot of the high fashion campaigns, and they do some cosmetic campaigns as well because they overlap, but they'll do like the high-end campaigns like Dior. MAC Cosmetics is considered a little bit more high-end that they will do. They'll do Burberry, things like that, a lot of perfume campaigns as well. So there is a market for it, but like I said, it's just such a limited market. That's why I really recommend for people to kind of figure out what will work best for them, because if you're trying to put yourself in a market that isn't suited for you, it's going to be very difficult, and unfortunately you're not going to make money. And I really, really try to teach people to stick to your market that will be good for you so that you can make money. Of course, we see these people that break the molds and, kind of change the industry. And it happens, but it does happen in a very rare, once in a blue moon, and you really have to work the extra miles. So find out what kind of market you feel that you're suited for, whether it be high fashion modeling or commercial lifestyle modeling, cosmetics, or Instagram modeling. It's all legitimate modeling. But like I said, if you get into it, be serious about it, okay? And follow through, because there is a lot of potential to make money in this field, and there are so many avenues to do it. Because again, of social media, of new apps, of new websites. There's so many ways to do it, guys, okay? So thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please leave them in the comments. And if you feel like I should talk about something else regarding modeling, please leave those suggestions as well, and I will get to them. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at officialgabia, and I'll be sure to see you at my next video.